What radio? The music you want.
With your host, Keys Dan.
This place is like Dr. Seuss's worst nightmare.
RadioWhat.com. What's up, party people? It's Keys Dan with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live in a living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous. It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, you already know where to go. DJLittleRock.com. Check availability, get a free price quote, and maybe you can have me. Yes, me. They like me. They really like me. To be at your event. I will play for you. I will be your entertainment. Let me entertain you. Today on the program, very exciting, I have Chellcy Reitsma all the way from Malta. Yeah, I had to look it up too. Where's Malta? The tiny island nation just south of Sicily. Yes, it's south of Italy, Sicily, north of Africa. Yes, right there in the Mediterranean. So let's talk to Chellcy Reitsma in the next few minutes. You got that to look forward to. Coming up this week, my shows, they're all public shows, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Thursday night, I'll be at the Old Post Barbecue in Russellville, Arkansas. It's the Video Dance Party Karaoke Jam, family friendly, so bring the whole family. It's a perfect after school treat and an after work treat because they got frosty beverages for the adults in case you care to imbibe. But you know I keep the music family friendly. So all come. You're all welcome to come to the Old Post Barbecue in Russellville, Arkansas. Come on out from 6 to 9. Be there. Las Vegas, baby. And then, let's see, Friday night, I'll be at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. That starts at 8 p.m. until the wee hours of the morning, about almost 2 in the a.m., where we have some fun. Now, this one is an over 21 club, so leave the kids at home. Why don't you? It's a video dance party, karaoke jam. They got the full bar. They got the kitchen open, burgers, pizza, wings. Try the wings. I like the wings. And the Jersey Girl pizza. You cannot discount that stuff. It's really, really good. Amazingly good for a bar. And that's the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. They got a pool tournament on Friday nights. So if you have any idea how to play pool, maybe you can make some money while you're hanging out at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. They got the shuffleboard and foosball and Jenga and checkers out there on the party patio. So there's always something to do while you're waiting to hear your name called by me. So you could sing. So you could be the star of the show. And you know I'm going to play some dance music. We got the perfect dance area all lit up and perfect just for you. And I'll play a slow song so you can dance with your honey if you want. Yeah, I'll do it. I'm your servant. Saturday night, come out to Heber Springs, VFW. That starts at 8 p.m. until at least, I'm thinking 1 in the morning. Somewhere around 1 in the morning we close up. But it's the karaoke contest finale. Apparently they've been having a karaoke contest for the last few months throughout the week. And they had me there at the beginning of the month. And they said, Keys Dan, we like you. We really like you. Will you come out at the end of the month and do our karaoke contest grand finale? I said, hear good singers and have a nice big room that people could dance and sing and have a good time in? Sure, I'm in. Count me in. That's the Heber Springs VFW, 8 p.m. Be there. Good singing and good times. And you know, if it's a VFW, they got the bar. Come on. That's what every town needs, a VFW, so you can have a bar in a dry county. Without further ado, let's give a chit-chat to Chellcy Reitsma. Skyping Chellcy Reitsma now.
Hello?
Hello, Chellcy Reitsma, please.
Hey, Dan, how are you?
It's good. It's Keys Dan calling. I noticed you put your video on. I face my phone straight up towards the ceiling, so all you would be seeing is my ceiling fan.
Okay.
So it's not necessary that you have the video on, although it's nice to see you. Fantastic.
Okay. It feels more like I'm there with you, so.
Hooray! Well, here we go. This is Keys Dan with the What Makes You Famous podcast, and I have Chellcy. Am I pronouncing it properly? Pronounce your last name for me.
Reitsma.
I did pronounce it right. Reitsma. Perfect. And you're...
Perfect, yes.
Okay, give the people a little synopsis, a little bio of who you are, Chellcy Reitsma.
Well, I'm originally from Visalia, California, and I lived all over the place, and I went to the Chicago Art Institute and graduated from there as an artist, and I was dancing, making a lot of money with a very, very well done dance career. So I was quite happy with that, and had a dance company in Chicago. We mostly did like ethnic dances, and then I toured around the United States and Europe, and I ended up in Malta because I loved it so much. The small island just south of Italy. And I ended up moving here. It was a very slow process. I had a dance company here for a while and a dance team in Chicago, and I was flying back and forth managing both of them. And then my dance career ended because I had some major injuries about 4 years ago. And I finally had the time to explore music because I love music, and I never got the opportunity to pursue that or study it or anything. So that's me in a nutshell.
That is a nutshell. Chellcy Reitsma, I had no idea that I will be talking to a girl from California that ended up in a small island nation of Malta. Let's take the journey. Let's go. Let's get there from A to B because we skipped a whole lot. I guess we can go from A to Z because we skipped a whole lot in the middle. That's for sure. Chellcy, you were born where in California again?
Visalia, California. It's between Bakersfield and Fresno.
Okay, Bakersfield, I know. I've done some parties out there. I DJ sometimes, and I DJ some parties in Bakersfield. Fresno, I'm familiar with the geography. You're in a town right in the middle. Was it a small town?
It's a pretty tiny town, about 100,000 people, mostly agricultural area.
Well, in California, I think 100,000 is a small town, I think.
Very small, yes.
Right. So, all right. So you started off in California. Did you spend all your school life in California?
Yeah. I spent my whole life in California until I was 24. I graduated from Humboldt State University, and then I transferred over to the School of the Art Institute of Chicago.
Now, Humboldt State University, what did you study there?
I studied visual arts, art history, and gallery operations.
Now, where did you want that?
Nerd.
Yeah, where did you want that to take you?
I'm also a professional visual artist. So when I was in my 20s, I had dreams of, making a living doing my art. And but once I graduated the Chicago Art Institute, I was making a lot more money dancing. So I focused on that. And dancing is something that you have to do while you're young because your body will only hold out for so long.
I suspect you're right. I'm 50 years old, and I'm in tune with that emotion of body giving out. Sometimes I don't do everything I used to do in my 20s. Now, with the visual, let's go back there. When you started in the visual, did you actually get a job doing some visual arts? What is it, like cartooning maybe, or some computer graphics of some kind? Give me an idea of what the visual was.
The visual art I was doing murals, like in homes and restaurants and stuff, painting large-scale murals on walls and ceilings. And then I also did some signage. I did graphics art for a while, photo retouching, whatever I could to make money doing art.
So computers
I
or
taught
painting?
some classes. Sorry?
Was it computers or was it painting mostly?
Mostly painting and sculptures.
Fantastic. Now, can you do you have any of your art that's still up in California? I'm guessing that you did most of that early stuff in California.
Yes, I did do a lot of early stuff in California, a lot of murals. I was part of the Visalia Teen Mural group, and we painted murals all over the city. They're still there.
That's fantastic that you have something that's lasted, and it becomes a piece of history, and you are a part of the city. When people go by, they don't know that they're seeing Chellcy Reitsma's art, but you know, and they're admiring it. How does that make you feel, knowing that you're a part of the city?
It's a really great feeling, actually, and I love the whole program being part of community-oriented art with the murals. I also did a mural up in Rio Del Elementary School in Humboldt County, and that's also still there at the elementary school. I taught the kids how to paint a mural, and that was a wonderful experience. And then I painted a few in Chicago as well. But that was after I had already started a more professional level career after graduation. And it was more in private residences and businesses. So it wasn't as community oriented as the earlier murals were.
All right. Going through the early life of Chellcy Reitsma and how you got to Malta. Wow. Okay. Your parents were pretty stable? Did they give you a pretty stable home in California, or did you move around as a kid too?
No, it was very, very, very stable. My parents are only just now moving, and they're moving to Malta to be with me. So,
they missed their little baby girl, their little tiny baby girl. They got to go to Malta.
Exactly.
You know, I just looked up Malta because I really, the wife and I were kind of trying to figure out Malta. Well, she named it right away. She said, "Oh, it's in the Mediterranean," and I went, "Is it?" And I went, "Yeah, probably. I'm going to say you're right." And then we Googled it, and there it is, right in the Mediterranean, right where, I got to trust my wife. You always got to trust the lady because they know everything.
100%.
She said 100%. All right. All right, Chellcy Reitsma. So, okay, we're in California. You have a stable life. What did your parents do? Mom, dad, what did they do?
They had Dumas and Hydro Crane service, trucking and rigging, and it was quite stable. They serviced the entire Central Valley and other parts of California and Nevada with hydraulic cranes and trucking and rigging and demolition.
What's
and
rigging?
Used equipment sales. Rigging.
Rigging. I got it. Rigging. My hearing's not so good looking. Many years of headphones on my head. I guess we can get into that too with music, how that could affect your hearing. We could put a pin in that one and continue. But all right, so they gave you a good life. They were doing demolition, so they worked together.
Yes, they owned the company together. My mom did all of the office work and liens and all that stuff that has to go, all the booking and billing. And then my dad was out on the cranes and managing the guys and operating the cranes and fixing the cranes, everything.
That sounds
he
fantastic.
Was obsessed with cranes. It's his passion.
Your mom and dad were a team at home and at work. It seems like, yes. That's a good way to be. And and once again, you're saying, do you want to talk to the man in charge or the woman that knows everything? Because your mom was inside doing the books, and she knew everything inside and out of the business. Yes. And I rely on my wife as well. If it wasn't for her, I'd have no money. So big ups to that. Okay. And so you get out of college, you got some visual a degree in your background. You did a little bit of muraling, and that's great that you taught the kids how to do the mural in their schools. That says a little something about you, that you not only like to do the art, but you also like to teach the art. And then you scoot on over to Chicago. What took you to Chicago, the Art Institute?
Art. I went there for art school. So I just wanted to add on to my degree, and I had hopes of going to graduate school, and I wanted to go to the Chicago Art Institute for graduate school as well. But once I graduated with my BFA and I was making so much money with dancing, I decided just to focus on that.
How did you get into the dancing? Yeah, I'm from Fort Lauderdale, from Miami, in that area, and I know we had an art institute of Fort Lauderdale. And when I was in high school, I was in Distributive Education Clubs of America, and I took fashion marketing. And I did have a thought in the back of my head to go to Art Institute and find out more about photography. I was kind of interested in that, and some of the fashion and the designing and stuff. What did you get out of the Art Institute, if anything, that helped you along in your career?
I really learned what it takes to be a visual artist and to make a career. Because when I was living in California, and it was a smaller area, and I was more well known in the visual arts there, and it was easier to get well known because there wasn't as much competition, because it was a smaller community, both where I went to university as well as where I grew up. And so when I got to Chicago, and it was a big city, and there's so many art schools of all kinds and so many artists, I really got a wake-up call of what it really takes to be an artist of any kind, whether it's a musician or a visual artist. It takes a lot of work, a lot of work and dedication. And I also learned that you will get at least 100 rejections per one acceptance to whatever you're applying for. Grants, performance opportunities, visual art showing opportunities, galleries, whatever it is. That's how many things you have to be applying for to maybe get accepted to one of them.
So Chellcy Reitsma, you're a small town girl from California. You get to the big city. You had some success in art in California, and you were a big fish in a little pond, and then you get to be a smaller fish in a big pond, and your eyes open up. And so where did the dancing come in? When did you start dancing? Was that in school back in California, or is that something you picked up in Chicago?
I started dancing when I was 3. I started visual art when I was 9. So arts, all kinds of arts have always just been a passion of mine. So the dancing I had always thought of as a hobby. This is funny. I always thought of dancing as a hobby and my visual arts as a career.
Right.
So basically, after graduating from the Chicago Art Institute, that just swapped. I realized how much I could make as a dancer and as a dance teacher, and doing the conference circuit around Europe and North America. And I shifted kind of from ballet and tap and jazz and the more traditional Western dances to ethnic forms of dance, like Latin street dancing and Middle Eastern dancing, North African dancing.
Wow. And you being the blonde that you are, and that must have been just a selling point, is that someone, a book by the cover, you see a lot of other types of people dancing this way, and then you come in and you don't look like someone who would dance this way. And I'm sure that was very striking to some people. Do you think, or am I just reading this completely wrong?
So sometimes it was advantageous, but I would say most of the time it was an issue, a problem, because I wasn't the stereotypical Latin dancer or the stereotypical Egyptian belly dancer. And I was told oftentimes to get a tan, dye my hair dark, that I was too white, I was too tall, too blonde. But I just let it roll off my back and kept on trucking because these things happen. So getting into the ethnic dances was very, very rewarding and very challenging to build my career with that kind of adversity at times. And then other times it also made me exotic. So
Yes.
it was both a plus and a minus.
Yeah, to drive that point home, Chellcy Reitsma, is that the entertainment business is probably the only place where you can get away with that kind of discrimination. Not tall enough, too thin, too tall, too blonde, too Asian looking, too black, too white. You can get away with it because you're looking for that certain type of person, especially in the visual. But I could see that being a plus or a minus. I'm with you on where you're coming from. But did you excel in those types of dances?
Yes, very much so. I built my whole career mostly off of North African dances and folkloric dances, and also samba and Spanish fusion, which was kind of like a flamenco and Arabic dancing mix.
Wow.
More a style from the south of Spain. And that's what I got very well known for. And I toured all over North America and Europe and had 2 dance companies. So
yeah, I'm from Miami, so I'm familiar with every one of those dances that you were talking about. I've seen them. I appreciate them. I wish I could do them better. I've tried them. I'm not good at them. I have some kind of a rhythm, but not as much rhythm as I'd like. And I can appreciate a dancer that can really hit the moves. My daughter's dancing, and I appreciate when she dances, and it makes me feel good to watch her excel in that. So you were thinking one way, hey, I'm going to try art, and I think that's where my moneymaker is going to be. And then you came in with this dancing. You found a troupe in Chicago. Is that right?
I started my own, yeah.
Oh, you started your own dance group in Chicago. How many people in the group?
At one point I had 12, and then when I started slowly immigrating to Malta, it got a little bit less because I had to make the troupe a little bit smaller in order to manage 2 companies. So then I limited it to 6 people in Malta and 6 people in Chicago.
So in Chicago, you were in your mid-20s. Is that proper? Is that right?
Actually, I started my dance company, when I was 26.
Yeah. So your mid-20s,
yeah.
You spent some time in Chicago forming this dance troupe. What kind of events did you do?
Oh, everything. We danced at cultural events, nightclubs. We toured with Toshe, the Macedonian singer. We toured with him in all over the East Coast and Chicago and Canada. That was really cool.
Yeah, it's amazing
that was a fun
what a dance.
Experience.
It's amazing what a dance group can do to a performance. You have a musician, but then you have all the dancers adding that flavor, that feeling. And were you wearing colorful outfits as well that were elaborate, or is this mostly in leotards, or did you do the whole shebang, if you will, Chellcy Reitsma?
You have to wear particular styles of costumes to go with particular folk dances or particular belly dance styles. Has to match the music. It has to match the style, the region that it's from, and Plus, it needs to actually look good on stage and be sparkly and colorful. So.
That is super fantastic. All right, so
yes.
What year? Okay, you're 26. What year is that?
Oh gosh, wait. I'm not very good with years.
Oh, okay. So yeah, what year were you in Chicago?
It was about 2003, 2004 when I started the company.
Okay.
So I moved to Chicago in 2001, but
Yeah,
was
giving
in
me a little
school, so.
timeline, or giving the people a little timeline of how Chellcy Reitsma came to be where she is and who she is now. So a little idea. Are we skipping anything going through, or we've gotten to Chicago? You've started your dance group. You're wearing many colorful costumes, sparkly, doing shows. How many shows do you think you did in a month, I guess?
Well, I was doing about 7 to 8 shows a week.
A week. Okay, so this is a full-time job.
It was full time, very, very full time.
So,
I was
okay, I can
dancing about
see.
8 to 12 hours a day between the teaching and the performing.
So
So
okay,
it
and you
was
had a
a
dance
lot.
school as well, then, is what you're saying.
Yes. I was teaching at dance schools and for my dance company as well.
Oh,
Dance rehearsals for the company. And then I was also teaching at the Chicago Art Institute and at some elementary schools for their cultural days and things like that. So
neat, Chellcy Reitsma. So what was the name of your dance troupe?
fringe benefits.
And was that also the name of your school?
I didn't open an actual school. I was
Gotcha.
teaching it at other people's dance studios
Perfect.
because I could be tied down to having a school because I was touring too much.
So why fringe benefits?
Well, first off, we wore beaded fringe like crazy. And also because everyone in my dance company were just American girls that worked full time, had families, and they happened to be also really good dancers. And for them, dancing was kind of like their life fringe benefit, that they could take a break from family and work and go and be part of a community and be part of something creative and fun that made them feel good. They could stay in shape and get amazing opportunities that they would have never had if it weren't for dancing and being part of the company and the classes. It's a really nice community.
That makes a lot of sense, Chellcy Reitsma. They got little fringe benefits from being a part of your troupe. All right.
Exactly.
Now, where do we go from Chicago? And did you go straight to Malta from Chicago? Or did you do anything else between?
Well, in between all of this, I did live in Florence, Italy for about 6 months. And I also lived in Stockholm, Sweden off and on. When I was touring, I spent a lot of time in Stockholm, Sweden, and worked there every year for 13 years.
So this is primarily for work and not for anything else?
It was just purely for dancing. And in Florence, it was for art. So there's a time gap there. But that's the only little side tangent we missed.
No, any artwork in Florence, Italy that belongs to Chellcy Reitsma that people are looking at and just would never know that it belonged to you?
No, I was just studying there. I was studying there. I was studying visual art and Italian culture and language.
So if they're looking for the Chellcy Reitsma murals, they're going to have to go to that small town in California and maybe a few in Chicago.
100%, yes.
Okay. All right. So you skipped around Europe a little bit. Well, I say you skipped around. You danced around Europe a little bit, and you were able to entertain the people. So, all right. Where do we go from here, Chellcy Reitsma?
I landed in Chicago. I took some students and a tour group, an American tour group, to Malta in 2005. And I fell in love with the island. And when I was on my way there, I contacted several studios and said, hey, I'm going to be in Malta, and I would love to teach a dance workshop or perform, for your studio. And Eldridge Cormie from the Paul Cormie Dance Company contacted me and said, we would love to have you teach workshops. And he booked a bunch of performances for me. And we were instant best friends, like brother and sister. Being an only child, and he was also an only child, it was like we just found our missing brother and sister. So it was great.
Yes.
we became such tight friends. He started bringing me back every single year, and sometimes twice a year. And I started staying longer and longer every time. And slowly by 2007, the Maltese dance company was started. And then I was managing both Chicago and Malta, flying 3 months to Malta, 3 months to Chicago, and back and forth.
So
And
for
then
how many years?
touring in between
For how many years did this back and forth go, Chellcy Reitsma?
till the end of 2012.
Ah, so it was
Long time,
a little
yeah.
dance back and forth between Chicago and Malta, Chicago and Malta,
Yes.
Chicago and Malta.
Yes.
And you were falling more and more in love with the tiny island nation of Malta. What do you like about Malta? What was it that kept bringing you back for more?
Well, honestly, the people. I mean, I love Malta. The country is beautiful. The sea is gorgeous. You have everything here. The cost of living was lower. As an artist, I was making the same amount of money. I could tour anywhere in Europe cheaply. You know, I fly on Ryanair, and I had a much lower cost of living. And even if I were making less money, I could still have a higher quality of life here because things are more reasonably priced. So I thought I would like to eventually immigrate to Malta. It would be easier as an artist because artists are always struggling. It's constant work. You never get a break if you're going to make a living off of your art, whatever kind of art you do. And so that was the main appeal, and my best friends, and then also the community. The people here are wonderful. They're very nice, friendly. There's a lot of community. People support each other in a lot of ways, and that was really beautiful. That's something that in the United States, I don't think we're always used to, that kind of community support. Maybe if you live in a small town, but I think in large cities, we don't always experience such a tight sense of community and family. The way the families stay together here, it's beautiful. People oftentimes stay at home until they're married here, which is kind of interesting. It's pretty cool. It's different. It's old school. It's very old school.
Well, Chellcy Reitsma, it has to be tight-knit. It's a small island that you see the same people every day. How many people are on this island approximately? Do you know?
About 500,000.
500,000. That's, just a little bit more than what was in your town in California. And you're living,
Yeah.
and this is a whole nation of people, 500,000 people. And, I live in Arkansas, and I think there's a 500,000 people spread out. I think there's a whole million throughout the whole state. But I could see where, it's got to be real tight knit. Are people living in buildings that are more high rise or on top of each other, or are people spread out, or are they able to spread out a little bit in that island?
We're the most densely populated country in the world.
Right.
So we all live on top of each other like hamsters.
Yes, I was looking at some pictures and I see, there's buildings that they look like they're right on top of each other, and the whole island appears to be covered. For the most part, there are some rock scales along the beaches, and there really aren't beaches. They're kind of cliffs in the pictures that I see. Do you get to go into the water at all, or spend some time out near the ocean? I guess.
Yeah,
sure.
there's actually quite a few sandy beaches where you can go swimming. They're usually packed with quite a lot of people. They're very popular. And there's quite a lot of green space, too, mostly in the north of the island where I'm living, in the Maliha area. And then the south, the center and the south is more densely populated. But they've tried to preserve a lot of their history and the green spaces and the archaeological sites and the natural sand beaches. There's a couple of man-made beaches, too, but those are mostly in the center and in the south.
Yeah, I was looking at the blurb in history, and it says something about that it's been there since 4000 BC, and there's a rich history. And the bottom of the blurb, and this is where you probably come in, is it says that at night the place is filled with music from DJs, and I'm guessing from musicians as well. Is this what you find is there a big nightlife in Malta?
Yeah, there is now, especially. When I first started coming here, the nightlife was maybe a little bit smaller, and it was more like club and DJ oriented. But in the last 10 years, tons of live music venues have opened. A lot of the restaurants and festivals and stuff, they hire a lot of local musicians. And there's MTV concerts here. They always bring famous musicians from abroad. And there's quite a few sponsors and events planners that have started organizing large concerts and bringing more famous artists from abroad as well.
So, Chellcy Reitsma, in 2012, you said, no more of this back and forth. I'm staying in Malta for good. And you just packed up every suitcase, every trunk, and went on over. Is that right?
Yeah, I sold my Chicago house, which took 2.5 years because of that economic crash.
Oh, that's right.
That was painful.
Yikes! Yeah.
But I finally sold that, and I met my husband in 2011. He's Maltese, and
hey,
I met him at the gym. I was teaching at a dance studio in a gym, and I met him at the front desk, and he was there to work out. We just randomly ran into each other at the front desk. And then in 2012, we got engaged. In 2013, we got married. So,
hey, mazel tov.
Yes, I was happy that my house finally sold in 2012 because it's really hard to have a steady relationship when you're touring so much. So it was nice to finally settle down at least a little bit. I still kept touring, but I cut down a bit so I could be in Malta a little bit more and actually have a relationship.
Yes. And so he was already in Malta. He had his house, and you were just able to move on in there.
No, I bought the house, actually. I had to have it for immigration purposes. And he was living with his parents because he was separated and unmarried. And that's what you do here. You live with your parents, mostly. It's starting to change with the younger generations, but the older generations, you don't leave the house unless you're married.
Yeah, you mentioned that
Even
before.
if you were divorced, you go back home.
Yeah, the Maltese are very tight knit, and some of them live at home until forever, until they get married. And okay, that's an interesting dynamic in a family life that you can live at home. And I've told my daughter, yeah, you can live at home forever if you want. Yeah,
my parents told me that too.
And you didn't. You said, "I'm out of here. I'm getting out of this small town and heading for the big city." And then you ended up in another small town. Would you consider Malta, or at least your part of Malta, being a small town, or feeling that way?
The village I live in, it is quite small. I think there's about 10,000 in the village.
So being
it's pretty small. Yeah,
being on an island, how do you get off that island? I noticed that your closest port would be Sicily, and then south to Africa. Where do you go to, or is there an airport in the island of Malta there? I guess
we have an international airport. There's flights to New York, Dubai, all of Europe. So when I want to leave the island, I mostly fly. But you can also take a ferry to Sicily. It's like about an hour over there. It's a nice ride.
Wow, and an hour is nothing on a ferry ride. So you could probably put your horse and buggy on the ferry and go. I'm guessing
exactly.
I'm guessing all they drive there in Malta is horse and buggy. There can't be any cars.
Oh, of course, yeah, and donkeys.
And donkeys. I'm making fun of the Maltese. I have this whole tiny island nation. They're all going to be after me. Oh no. No, and as soon as I saw it online, as soon as the wife and I saw it online, we said we got to go to there. That is so beautiful. The water looks beautiful.
100%. I'll show you around.
Ah, we're coming over. We're staying at your house. Ah. All right, Chellcy Reitsma. So you're in Malta, 2013. You're married. You're settled down. You got this cool Maltese husband. Is it Maltese? Is that right?
Yes, Maltese.
Because I'm thinking of Pink Panther and the Maltese Falcon for some reason. It just makes sense.
Oh, I'm just so happy you didn't say the dog, Maltese dog. I get that a lot.
Is there a Maltese dog? No. Pink Panther, Maltese Falcon.
Thank you.
Inspector Clouseau. You know, you got Peter Sellers in the house. So what other things do you do in Malta besides the music? And we'll get into the music right after that.
I actually, after I injured myself, because I was dancing when I came here, I injured myself really bad, and they're permanent injuries.
How so? What happened, if you don't mind me asking?
I tore a whole bunch of ligaments and tendons and all sorts of things in my feet and ankles and in my low back and in my shoulder. And yeah, I'm a mess.
That's not just a lot of injuries. That is a lot of injuries. No way to fix that.
It's expensive. They're all dance injuries. Totally blew my body out with dancing completely.
Why did you do this? Don't do it. No. Oh, my goodness. So what year was this?
That was about 4 years ago. It slowly started creeping up, an injury here, an injury there. And after a couple of years of injuries, piling up, then I realized that I was definitely going to have to stop. And my foot and ankle injuries were so bad that I couldn't do it as a career anymore. And I couldn't even do it as a hobby at a certain point.
No teaching, nothing? You couldn't even teach it?
No, I can't even teach. I can't do anything anymore. I'm walking with crutches if I walk for more than 2 blocks.
Oh, my. All right.
Yeah,
for all the kids out there that are thinking about a career in dancing, take it from Chellcy Reitsma. It's hard on the body.
Yes, very.
So what did you do after this? You said, man, I got to hang up my dancing shoes. And now what? Now what am I going to do for the rest of my life?
Yeah, that was the thing. I lost my career completely, quite suddenly, because dancing, you have to rely on your body. So if something blows out, you suddenly aren't making any money. When you're self-employed, that's pretty scary. Yes. So I started doing the production side of things. And I started working for the Valletta 2018 Foundation as a subcontractor and managing a lot of the cultural events for the European Capital of Culture and leading up to 2018. And so I just did the production side of things for a while. And I started doing singing and music as a hobby. And I also went back to my visual arts background. Started selling some paintings and booking some gallery exhibitions. So
the event coordinating, that was people that you knew from the dancing days?
No, actually, Valletta 2018 Foundation was looking for a project manager, so I just applied, went to an interview, and they accepted me.
So this was something just cold. It wasn't anybody that you knew. It was something that you said, well, that might be interesting. That might take me a little bit through this part of my life. Or was it somebody you knew? Did you know anybody there?
I did know somebody that worked there, but she wasn't doing the hiring or anything.
So it wasn't instrumental in getting that job. Oh, okay.
No, not at all, unfortunately.
Well, you saw an opportunity and you took it. So. No, you got it on your own merits. That's fantastic.
Yes, because as a self-employed artist, you end up doing a lot of production and learning a lot about events, organization, and production of cultural events and things like that. So it was quite easy to just shift over.
So this is 2015. How long did you do that job?
I did that until the beginning of this year.
Oh, okay. So you had some staying power there, and then you hadn't been singing before that.
No, no. In 2014, I kind of felt the injuries coming. I knew that my body was starting to give out. So, but I panicked because I love being on stage. I love performing. I've done it my whole life. So I said, what do I want to do where I can still be on the stage? I could try acting. I could try singing. But I just knew that I had to try singing and songwriting because I had always been, since I was a small child, I had always been into making up my own songs and writing poetry as well, which is, related to lyric writing. And I would get these tunes popping in my head, and I never knew how to make it happen, how to produce them, and how to bring those tunes and lyrics to fruition. And so I took a singing class from a coach who was actually teaching across the street from me when I was injured. And it helped keep me from getting too depressed as well, because my whole career was over for dancing. And it was quite depressing for me to go from being an athlete to being in a wheelchair. Yeah, for 3 months I was in a wheelchair. It was pretty bad. So I would roll on across the street and go to my singing lesson. I was absolutely terrified. I was almost 40 and I was taking my first singing lesson.
So you had not taken any singing lessons previous to just last year?
Only things from when I was a very small child, that they do at school, in elementary school. But other than that, I had never had any professional level vocal coaching. Amazing.
This tells me that when you put your mind to it, you go full force into it. The dancing, you did the visual arts and you went, okay, I'm making a little bit here. And then you found the dancing and you went full force into it, so much so that you made this whole troupe and you toured around Europe and North America. And then you get injured. Okay. And this could be, this could be very depressing. And it was to some extent, but you said, you know what? I want to stay on stage. Let me be a singer. And yes, I'm recapping, but let me be a singer. And then you went ahead and became a singer. How many lessons did it take to become a professional singer?
I'm a perfectionist, so I don't feel that I'm done yet. I still go to vocal coaching once or twice a week, every week, and I probably will until I die. Right. I think it's really, really helpful, very beneficial, and you should always strive for improvement. I would say that I felt confident enough to try to actually perform about 6 months into the vocal lessons. And I had already written a song with my mom. It was my first song.
How sweet is that? Writing a song with your mama. Come on. That's beautiful.
Yeah. It was called Blue, and I produced it with Beehive Studios here in Malta. And I wrote it in 2014 with her and released it. And so that was kind of when I first started feeling really confident to go public with my singing, was in late 2014.
2014. You take 6 months worth of lessons and you record this, and when you put that song out, how did it make you feel, and what kind of response did you get from that first song, Blue?
I officially released it in 2016.
Right.
Because I was nervous, so It took me some time.
Perfectionist. But, I get it.
Yeah. But, I got a really good response. I was very happy with it. I was also just so excited to finally produce a song because I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't even know how you start. I didn't even know any musicians at that time that weren't Middle Eastern, like tabla and darbuka players. So trying to build all the contacts, find out like how to produce a song. It was quite a challenge, and so I was just so happy that I actually did it. And a couple of radio stations actually played the song, and I was on cloud nine. I was just on cloud nine. Really.
I imagine so, Chellcy Reitsma. You put something out into the world, and somebody appreciated it enough to play it on their radio station. That says a lot. That's got to feel good for a creator, a creative person, to put something out there and to have it appreciated. Oh my goodness! And with your mom, no less. How did your mom feel about that?
My mom was really excited too, and she was excited that I took the because we've always written songs together since I was a small child, but they're usually kind of silly. But this was our first serious songwriting that we did together, and it really helped to keep me going and to keep me something to hold on to through the healing process from the injuries. And so she was pretty excited that I found a new passion and that it was keeping me going and keeping me from slipping into depression.
Yes. So 2014, you write this song. You put it out in 2016. What were the studio musicians? Were they people that you knew, or were they people that worked for the studio that were hired out to make the song for you?
They were all people from the studio, because I didn't know anybody in the music industry at all. So when I found a producer that would help me and he would produce it, then I did everything with the in-house musicians.
Fantastic. It's good to have a group of hired guns, is what they call them when they're hired musicians. There's some records back in the 60s that were made by one group of musicians. Every hit was made by one group of musicians. And if you get a good group of studio musicians, you can make all kinds of different music. And you said that there's Middle Eastern type music. Or I didn't get a chance to listen to Blue, but I have listened to The Garden and She-Man. You have quite a few other songs that are listed on your YouTube, but Blue, what kind of a feel did that have?
I wanted to write a classic song, something that would feel, like in the genre of Benny King's Stand By Me, or Blue Moon, the Elvis Presley version. So it kind of had this a little bit contemporary meets retro, like 1940s feel to it.
Yeah. Is that where your heart lives? Style. Is that where your heart lives creatively, Chellcy Reitsma?
Yes, I love making fusion music, kind of a fusion between blues and rock, and sometimes a little bit of jazz, a little bit of country. I love fusion styles.
Yes. Now I get to do a little bit of karaoke DJing from time to time. Before the big career started to take off, did you do any karaoke singing to practice?
No, I did my first karaoke singing maybe in July. A friend of mine took me to karaoke. I'd never done it before. I was terrified.
See, once again, you're doing things backwards, because usually when people become professionals, they don't want to sing in karaoke bars anymore. You did the art, and you said, art's going to be my forte. That's going to be my moneymaker. And then dancing ended up being your moneymaker. So you kind of went, you shifted in a different direction than most people would. I think Katy Perry was caught in a karaoke bar maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and people thought, "Wow, that's Katy Perry singing in a karaoke bar. That's so weird." Once you become a professional singer, you can't do those things anymore. So how fun was it at the karaoke bar in Malta?
It was a blast. It was my first and only karaoke experience. I can't say I would go every weekend or something like that.
What was your go-to song?
It was just for fun. Sorry?
What was your go-to song?
I'm No Good by Amy Winehouse.
Excellent. Another crooner, another person that kind of fused different genres and styles together. I think that would be a perfect fit for you, Chellcy Reitsma, to do that kind of music. And yeah, she was amazing. She gone too soon. Come on.
Yes, really. Yeah, she's one of my idols. I just really love her lyric writing and her style and her voice.
Yeah,
she was amazing.
Let's go with people that influenced you. Who influences you? Artistically, that's one thing. You can get different feels of how to draw and how to sculpt and that kind of thing. But primarily, let's talk about the music, since that's where we're at. Who influences your styles right now?
I love Nick Cave and Leonard Cohen, Amy Winehouse. Kovac, new artist. I just love her. And I love Benny King as well. He was always amazing. I would say those are the main ones that I listen to all the time. Oh, and Beth Hart and Joe Bonamassa. Oh my God. Beth Hart is so amazing. She's so sexy.
That is so funny. We were just talking about Joe Bonamassa yesterday on the podcast. Charlotte McKinnon had worked with him recently. And it's so funny that you're mentioning the same people. Charlotte McKinnon was on the podcast yesterday, and she has worked with, Casey and the Sunshine Band, Barry Gibb, and quite a few other people. And she said more recently she was working with him, and he was amazing. So that's two people in 2 days on this podcast that have said Joe Bonamassa is awesome, and he is.
Yes, definitely.
Well, cool. All right, Chellcy Reitsma. So what other things have you done? Have you gone out gigging around town? What are you gigging now?
Yes. Actually, it was funny. A friend of mine told me that I backed into music.
How so?
Because I produced music videos and released my EP and did all these recordings and everything before I ever performed live. Okay.
Yes, so, that is a little bit backwards. A little bit, because I think
completely.
I think the Monkees did their studio stuff before they performed live because they really didn't know how to play live. That would be the case in that instance. But yeah, all their stuff was pre-recorded, and I guess there's a couple more groups in the '60s. I think the Partridge Family was like that too, where they never toured, but they had these great TV shows, so they had all these recordings, and they said, "Well, let's take it on the road, but we don't know how to play."
Yeah.
So, do you play any instruments, Chellcy Reitsma?
I can play small percussion. I'm not an actual musician. I wouldn't consider myself a professional musician. I don't play any cool instruments really well. I'm trying to learn some chords on the keyboard, mostly for composing. And I play maracas and finger cymbals and tambourines, all from my ethnic dance background. But I don't play any instruments professionally.
Hey, you got the rhythm to play cowbell, and that's good enough for me.
The triangle. Ding!
There you go. You did the triangle at the end. Bing! That's it. You're right.
Exactly.
You're right. That was a big finish. Big finish. So, Chellcy Reitsma, what was the first thing that you did out live, and how many songs did you have produced at this point?
Let's see, how many songs did I had six songs produced at this point, and and 3 music videos, and I produced at Coffee Circus in Flima here in Malta for the first time, a little coffee house with 2 friends of mine that play guitar, and then also some recorded music. And it was actually encouraged by a friend of mine. He was also a contractor at my house doing my plumbing and stuff. And he used to do the sound in Budapest for Jazzy Radio. And he lives here in Malta now as well. And he said, "You've got to get out there and start performing. You're great. You're going to be great. I want to see you performing." so he organized a performance at Coffee Circus, and he did the sound for us and the mixing and everything. And he really pushed me to do that. I really appreciate that. He was a very, very sweet man.
And what year did you do the flea market again?
Coffee Circus.
Coffee Circus?
It's not a flea market.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Coffee Circus. I'm thinking flea circus for some reason. So what year did you do the? Yeah, I don't know why. What year did you do the Coffee Circus?
That was this year. Because I was working for the Capital Year of Culture. I didn't have time to perform when I was producing the event for the Lota 2018 Foundation.
Right.
It's way too.
So did you have to give that job up to go full time into performing on stage? Is that what happened?
That's what 2019 is all about for me. Wow. I'm just focusing on my music, a little bit on my visual art, and I'm forming a band and an acoustic duo and trio, and I'm trying to get a lot of live performance experience.
That is fantastic, Chellcy Reitsma. What does her husband think about this?
He loves it. He comes to all my performances.
Oh, you got a cheerleader. That's great.
Yes.
A fan. Your number one fan, the president of your fan club. Go, hubby. Good job.
Yeah. He's great.
And he's Maltese. And what does he do?
He's Malta's national pistol shooting champion for a 50-meter pistol and a couple other disciplines. I'm not very good with the shooting.
Can you make a living pistol shooting?
Well, the government here can pay for you to subsidize your shooting career.
That sounds fantastic.
Abroad and stuff. And then he's also head of sales at a sporting goods store.
Fantastic.
And, yeah. So
it just goes to show whatever you like to do, you can make it into a career. And he's made pistol shooting into a career. That is great. Things that you love, you can turn it into a career if you're creative enough. And it sounds like he's creative too. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
You're good for each other. So
we're great.
2019. When did you quit the day gig?
When the foundation closed down, because they closed down because 2018 was over, the Capital Year of Culture.
Oh, I got you.
So it finished in 2018. We had to wrap a few things up at the beginning of 2019, and then it was done.
So another turning point for you, Chellcy Reitsma. What do you do next, right? And you came up with it. You said, well, I got this singing in the bag. I seem to be pretty good at it, and people keep pushing me in that direction. So you headed in that direction, and you did your first gig, and how did that feel?
It was great. Yeah, and I've done quite a few more since then. Things are going really good. I have high hopes. My band is really coming together. We're going to have our first performance in November with this new group of musicians. We had another performance as a band back in, when was it? July.
So this band, is it the same two people included in that first gig that you did at the circus?
No. One of them doesn't even live here anymore, actually, because a lot of people come and go from Malta. So you'll find people to work with for 3 to 6 months, and then they'll go back to their own country.
Well, that's what you were doing for 4 or 5 years, right? Is coming and going. And you could see that. It seems to be a thing. And then you put roots down in Malta. So here you are, California girl in Malta by way of Chicago.
Yes, 100%.
And then your mom and dad?
Yeah, the band is going great. And we'll do another performance in November, but it's all new musicians. So that's why I say our first performance. So it's all new musicians, and I'm looking forward to
And
that.
then your mom and dad still in California, and they're saying, no, we miss our little girl. We're coming. How soon are they coming out to Malta?
They're here right now.
They made it.
Yeah. they bought their place, and they're shipping their things. So they're here, and we're waiting for our shipment of our stuff, and including my things from Chicago, because I had them in storage at my parents' house all these years.
Wow.
So bad. Yeah, they were sitting
I'm
in
glad you got your stuff, and now you're in Malta, and now Keys Dan has a place to go in Malta, or at least somebody to show him around when he gets there. Yeah, there you go. So what's you say you have some performances that are coming up? How do you want people to connect with you, Chellcy Reitsma, and what's on the horizon for you? And do you know what the name of the new band is going to be?
I prefer to stay as a solo artist, so I'm going to use my own name. So the Chellcy Reitsma Band, basically. I think it's better that way.
Yeah,
and
sounds
then
great.
You can work anywhere in the world that way.
Yeah. So what's on the horizon for Chellcy Reitsma and the Chellcy Reitsma Band?
Well, we have this gig coming up in November, and we have some small local performances and festivals booked, and I'm hoping to book some really nice gigs for the holiday season. And we have some recordings planned for some new songs. We're writing some new songs together, all as a band, which is nice. So, yeah, some exciting times.
So, Chellcy Reitsma, what are you going to do with all those silly songs that you wrote with your mama? I think silly songs are great. You could put out a children's album. That'll be fantastic.
Definitely not.
No, Chellcy Reitsma sings the silly songs.
I will put out some silly songs, but
so are you always writing? Is that a process that you have? Because some people that want to be performing musicians and to be famous or to be working musicians, they don't know what work it takes to put into it. You're a singer, but you also know, well, if you could learn a keyboard, you could produce your own music a little more readily. Without having to rely so much on a producer. But are you writing your music all the time now, or do you set aside some time for music writing?
All of the above. Most of the time, songs come to me at really inconvenient times. In the middle of the night while I'm sleeping, I'll wake up and there's lyrics and a tune in my head, and I have to get up and record them on my phone, sing it into the phone, type up the lyrics, or bust out a couple chords on my keyboard just to see if they work, so I don't forget them by the morning. Or while I'm driving. Most of my songs came to me while I was driving, and I have to try to record them on my phone while I'm driving, or pull over to the side of the road and quickly jot stuff down.
Chellcy Reitsma always pulls over to the side of the road when she does her recording. She never uses her phone while she's driving. Did I say that right?
Yes, exactly. That reminds me of the By the Side of the Road song by Concrete Blonde. I love that song.
Excellent.
That's a really
Excellent.
nice song.
Well, no, and you're not the first to say that a lot of your ideas come to you when you're lying in bed at night, because sometimes you lie in bed and you're trying to get to sleep, and all of a sudden all these ideas start popping into your head. So you have to have some kind of a recording device, at least a pencil and a piece of paper next to your bed on your nightstand, so you can write these ideas down. Is that something that you have? Do you have a recording device next to your bed just in case?
I always have my mobile phone. So
yes.
I do everything on my phone.
Is there an app for that?
Later I email it to myself or download it to my computer, and then, I just use my notepad on my iPhone and the recording device on my iPhone.
Gotcha.
And then I download it to my Mac and start working on it from my computer later.
Very smart. Well, I see nothing but big things coming for you in the near future and the distant future, Chellcy Reitsma. I think this is the career that's going to take you till the end. And do you still have little dance moves while you're performing, sitting there on stage? You still got that rhythm, that wiggle? You can't get out of it?
My belly dance background comes out sometimes. I'll be up there doing figure eights with my hips while I'm singing. So,
hey, that's got to be interesting for the audience. They've got to get a kick out of that. I know I probably would.
probably.
All right. Well, how do you want people to?
Told me, I see those belly dance moves in there.
Well, how do you want people to connect with you, Chellcy Reitsma, online and otherwise?
Okay. You can find me on my website, which is ChellcyReitsma.com, and also on Spotify and Instagram and Facebook.
Okay. Are there any songs online that are available for purchase if people want to buy them?
Yes, on iTunes. All of my stuff is on iTunes and Google Play and Deezer, as well as Spotify. And there's 3 music videos on YouTube as well.
Fantastic, Chellcy Reitsma. It's been a complete pleasure talking to you this evening.
You too.
Yeah, who could imagine this internet is such a wonderful thing where we can go from Arkansas all the way to Malta and have a nice conversation and learn about each other. And we've learned about Chellcy Reitsma and your career that has gone from a humble beginning in a small town in California of just 100,000 all the way to Malta, the island nation of Malta. My goodness, it sounds like you've got things mapped out for the rest of your life. That's fantastic. Any last words for the people, Chellcy Reitsma?
I just wanted to say hello to Arkansas. Got some family members there, and thank you so much, Keys Dan. It's been a real pleasure to meet you, and I really respect what you're doing with your radio show. It's a really great idea, great movement, and it's very needed.
Well, there you have it, party people. A star on the rise. Chellcy Reitsma, just beginning her music career. This would be career number 3, really, because she started out as an artist. I'm sure she still got the art in the background. She still practices and dabbles a little bit. And then she had the dancing that started out in Chicago and toured all over Europe. I know, I'm just recapping. And then, a body gets hurt after all that dancing, especially if you're dancing hard and dancing for people 7 nights a week. Hello, that's going to be hard on the body. And so she had to come up with a different career. And she goes, you know what? I like being on stage, and let me try this singing. So she's singing now. And I've heard her songs online. If you get a chance, check out Chellcy Reitsma right online. And I'm going to put the links in the show notes so you know exactly how to get a hold of Chellcy Reitsma. And it's a good excuse to go to Malta and check that little island out. I've seen the pictures online, and boy, howdy, do I want to go now. That water looks gorgeous out in the Mediterranean. You see all these movies where people are taking vacations out in the Mediterranean. What better place to go than Malta? The people are nice, as far as Chellcy Reitsma says. They're so nice, she married one. So there you go. Let's all be Maltese for a little while and go visit with Chellcy Reitsma, and maybe we can catch a show. So thank you so much, Chellcy Reitsma, for giving me the little chit chat and a little more insight onto how you became you on the What Makes You Famous podcast. If you'd like to tell your story, I encourage you. Give me a call at 501-470-6386 or email info@radiowhat.com. That's it for this installment of What Makes You Famous. It's Keys Dan, radiowhat.com, djlittlerock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.
Radio What? The music you want with some great quotes. As you walk down the ferry of life, you must smell the roses, for you only get to play one round. Anonymous. The music you want. RadioWhat.com. Follow Keys Dan on Facebook and Twitter. Click on the links at the top of KeysDan.com. Follow Radio What on Facebook and Twitter. Click on the links at the top of RadioWhat.com. The music you want is on.